the 35, 40-year-old of today, we are in a situation that is nowhere near like it was in the 80s, the 70s, where we're afforded this opportunity to take the fitness element of our lives and apply it to the things that matter, just like you mentioned. So that's a very common thing that I hear from a lot of men who I consult with, and I'm like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to get into a weight loss program or start to get back into the gym or start working out at home? And it's number one is play with kids.
What if real transformation doesn't start in the gym, but in the mind? Sean Ferguson knows what it means to build real strength, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In this episode, Sean opens up about his journey, from uncertainty about becoming a personal trainer to building a powerhouse method rooted in betterment. He shares how fitness became a gateway to purpose, the lessons he learned from placing dead last in a bodybuilding competition, and why surrounding yourself with the right people might be the biggest gain of all. If you've ever wondered what it takes to push past your limits, truly pivot in life, and build true confidence, this conversation is for you, only on Navigating Now. Oh my goodness, it has been a hot minute since I have seen you, Sean, and I am so excited for today because you have been a mentor to me, but you're also like a mentee of mine. And it's like you and I have just known each other for almost 20 years. We met in the gym at 24 Hour Fitness, and you are an entrepreneur like me. You got into acting and modeling like me. You moved down to LA, you became an actor, and you started your own business, which is basically Informed Movement Fitness, where you're helping people above 35 and 40 years old get in shape. And
Yes.
You have this specific skill set, and you're so amiable and you're so nice and giving with your time. It's like you've just been this giving person that I've known for so many years, and we've brainstormed with each other as personal trainers and strength coach, and you're just an amazing pure person. And I wanted to bring you on because I think a lot of people can learn from you about how to get in shape and be better both mentally and physically in life after you're 20 years old and you're not a spring chicken, right? Because that's a thing that we're doing. And I just wanted to say thank you for being a part and sharing your story today.
Thank you. Those are very touching words, and I admire you so much as a human and as a man, and have really just been honored to just be invited onto your show, but also be included in, what I guess you would say is a friendship circle for you. And, there was, when we met at 24 Hour Fitness, there was a little sense of intimidation because one of the most handsome guys I know and super fit and super in shape. And I'm like, oh man, how's this, this guy seems really aspirational, really cool. And how disarming you are from the jump has always been one of your most amazing qualities. And it just really allowed us to create and form an amazing relationship. And so I'm just really appreciative of being here, and I love your show. I listened to a lot of your episodes, and you've had some amazing guests. So I'm excited.
Yes, and now you get to be a part of it. So how awesome is that?
Yeah.
It's
very
well,
cool.
You're a part of my confidence team, because when we met, even though you worked at a different studio or a different gym, I could learn from you. And the intimidation is like, there's a good looking guy, AKA you, and you have your stuff together. You're always booked. You have full clients. And it was like, I can learn from you just as much as you could learn from me. And it was just like, we could brainstorm with each other. And I think it's not a competitive thing. It's like,
right.
What can you learn from other people? Because whether or not, as long as they have done something that you want to do, or they are doing something that you think they're doing right, ask them the questions and create that relationship with them. And that's what we did. And thank you for being disarming enough for yourself to be able to come and talk to me and do cardio with me all the time, or do lifts. So it was super fun. Thank you.
You were probably doing some dragonflies, some Bruce Lee stuff on the bench that piqued my attention. I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to do that. And, something that you said that I try to keep as a mantra in my life is always be a student. As much as possible, absorb, never feel like I've got everything understood 100%, and be willing to learn. And so just getting to connect with you and understanding your journey, what you've been through, we've had some parallels as far as our backgrounds, and how far you've come has been such an inspiration to me. But I think having that student mentality has been something that's been key for my success and longevity.
Well, I love that you say that because you're right. It's like staying curious, right? And
Yeah,
school doesn't end the day that you graduate. It's like you
that's right.
continue on. And
Mhm,
that was one of the coolest things about a gym, being a global fitness
mhm.
person, is that when you're surrounded at a gym and you see other people, you can learn from people like
Yes,
women and men and older people and young people. It's like you
yes,
see them do something and you're like, man, I want to be able to do that. I wonder how you
yeah.
do that. Like there's this guy at the gym that was always doing muscle ups. And I was like, I wonder how you do that because I'm not very good at it. My wife can do them, but I can't do them. Like, maybe he has a nugget to teach me to be able
Yeah,
to do it. Right.
yeah,
And it's so fun to be curious because you're learning and you're growing. And
yep.
the gym really was one of those like petri dishes for me to learn. And it seems like it did that for you as well.
100%. I'm nearing 2 decades of being in the fitness industry professionally. I started exercising and lifting weights when I was 13 years old, which looking back, it's like, wow, if I had a son and he was 13, would he be lifting? Probably. But it just kind of puts it in perspective of how young it's been. And it's, yeah, the gym is an amalgamation of so many different backgrounds. I've had the absolute pleasure of working with people from all walks of life. And when I say
Mhm.
all walks of life, I mean the literal full spectrum, from stay at home parents who have literally never stepped foot inside a gym in their, in their 40s and 50s, all the way to professional athletes, and then everything in between.
Mhm.
I've trained a guy who played with one of the greats. I believe it was Jackie Robinson. I met him when he was in his mid 80s, and he was just him and his wife at 24 Hour Fitness in Seattle, just a big go getter. And he would tell me incredible stories, and I would find myself forgetting to count the reps because I'm listening to his story, thinking, I just want to live vicariously through this amazing history
Yeah.
that you have. And that hit, I feel, is the greatest gift that I've been given as a trainer and as a coach, is learning about people in a very vulnerable position. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but when I started getting into PE in junior high, I felt very awkward in gym clothes. And like,
Mhm.
you're worried about, can I do enough sit-ups to match
Yeah.
what my peers are doing? And oh my gosh, Earl's over there doing like 12 pull-ups effortlessly. I can't do that. Right. So there's this
I had
sense
to do the
of,
hang, like the
yeah,
what
yeah,
it was like the stationary hanging, you're trembling. You're like, because I
yeah,
had friends who could do all the pull-ups, but I couldn't. I was like, I'm going to
yeah.
try to hold this for 10 seconds, and every
Yeah,
30 seconds it was one pull-up or something.
exactly. And then there was even the rope climb, which really was challenging for me and still kind of is. So, it's a beautiful arena to be in, to learn about yourself, to learn, like we're talking about here, with other
Mhm.
people and connect. And I think we have to remember that. I always want to try to remember that, because it's easy to have the gym space feel intimidating. And
Mhm.
that literally was the exact poignant reason I got into training back in 2007, because I noticed, as I was having conversations with gym goers, because I was just a gym goer myself
Mhm.
at this private club in Seattle downtown. And I got to know one of the head trainers, who very polished, full binder, tons of clients, was eating apples in between, sessions. He never had a break. So I was like, okay, this guy's successful. And he took notice to me, and he was like, I noticed you're really personable with, the gym members, and you're always talking to them, and you obviously know what you're doing around the gym. You have some
Mhm.
experience here. Have you ever thought about being a trainer? I was like, oh, no, I don't think I could do that. I don't have the credentials. He's like, well, that's something we can work through. I can help you with. But as I was mulling over that decision, I thought to myself, it's really cool to be able to bridge the gap for people who are coming in here and they're telling me about how their experiences in the gym, and maybe they're doing certain machines and thinking they're working one area, but they're feeling it in another. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, this was a natural way. The universe was kind of telling me, you can create some guidance here. It's okay. Just, you're speaking with good intention and you're trying to help these people. And more importantly, the intangible sense of everybody belongs in the gym, or is deserving of whatever kind of fitness journey they want to have, and however that looks. And I want to be
Mhm.
able to help guide that and facilitate that and answer questions along the way. So that's kind of how that got started.
Well, that you're so true in saying that, and it was like the same with me. I remember PE, and it was like we didn't have the rope, but we had the metal bar, that I look back now and I'm like, how did they get away with that OSHA wise? Like being able to like, if you let go of that thing, you were falling,
Yeah.
right? I could never do it. But I was intimidated too. And like when you're wearing the short shorts and your butt cheeks dangling out when you're doing the sit-ups, and it's just like it's awkward as a
Yeah.
young child, right? And you're like, oh my gosh. But we as adults feel the same way. And I think you're
Mhm.
right. Like I think what was great about COVID is that you
Mm,
could train people virtually and they could be at their own home. Or as a
yeah.
personal trainer, you could do in-home visits and train them at their home where they're most comfortable, because you want
Yeah.
the client to feel as comfortable as they can be and not be
Yes.
intimidated by outside forces.
Yes.
And when you surrounded yourself around someone who had, and you asked questions and they believed in you, they're like, you know, kid,
Mhm.
you would probably be pretty good at this. You're personable and you can talk and you obviously know
Mhm.
what you're doing. You're getting your body to move and look
Mhm.
a certain way after you're being dedicated and disciplined over and consistent over a time.
Mhm.
It's like somebody believed in you
Yeah.
and showed you something that you were like, I never thought of it that way. Right.
Right.
And I never thought that I would be a personal trainer either. I thought I wanted to do international corporate law, and it was like when I got into it, I started teaching martial arts, and but to do so at all the Gold's Gym, I had to become certified as a personal trainer,
Yep.
and I had so much fun at it, and I was so good at it that my books were filled. And I was beating all these records. Like it was like I found something that I loved and I enjoyed and I was passionate about. And I had no idea I was going to do that. Right. And
Right.
it was just like just being introduced to something and then having seen success begin and also having people around me who believed in me and were like, Blue, you should do this. You could do this. You could do this.
Absolutely.
It's so helpful. And I want to go back for a second. And that is that the gym is so great about that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a gym. I mean, it could be a networking event. It could be a mastermind group that you're with. It could be
Mhm.
church. It could be your work. Like there's all of these communities that you can be a part of where you can grow and you can improve. And it doesn't just have to be physical, it could be mental. But
Yeah.
for you and for me, I just found like it was cheers. It was a place where I felt welcomed and where I felt like I belonged and a part of something, and I had friends and I could connect with, and I could talk about movies and pop culture with somebody like you, and we can talk about Rocky, right? And it's just like those little connections are what
Yeah.
make us who we are. And
Yes.
I think that the gym environment just worked really well for me, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And that is something that you kind of found as well.
Right. And I think you're touching on something here really important, which is there's always a silver lining. There's always something positive to take out of every experience. And if you can find that one thing in an environment that maybe otherwise, like we were talking about, intimidating or just uncomfortable, maybe that's enough to keep you coming back because, there are these positive aspects to a gym environment, even though it's a public space, people are using the gym and people aren't getting off machines and timely, or there's people taking selfies in the corner, right? So I can understand these things can get
Yeah.
a little annoying, and I have clients that I train currently and have since COVID, like you mentioned, online. I've trained them over Zoom live, or they have their own do-it-yourself type programs that I create for them, and they prefer that, and it is continually giving the client a sense of comfortability in confidence in what they're doing and how they want to approach it. I just
Yeah.
always try to figure out, like, if I go to a party or if I go to some kind of new social function and maybe my big takeaway was that wasn't for me, I still try to stop myself and say, but what positive came out of that? What was something? Oh, I was introduced to this person and they seem really
Mhm.
cool and they have like-minded interests. So maybe that's something, or it sparked an idea for me to get back into something like writing or rock climbing, whatever.
Or
So
starting your business or so
yeah,
you can learn from anybody within that environment.
exactly.
It was my martial arts studio, like our dojo is where I blossomed in all things. And I learned about languages and how to attain the splits, which is totally related to martial arts, right? Or, the importance of travel or the importance of reading or how to start a business and getting a business license and like
Yeah.
learning how to drive. Like all of these people within that community taught me all these life lessons that had nothing to do with karate, right? It was just like
Yes.
they built me as a better person.
Yes.
How
Yes.
do you when someone comes into the gym or when someone did come into the gym and you worked at the gym, how
Mhm.
did you make them feel comfortable? Somebody who was uncomfortable and you could read that. What did you do? What personal techniques did you do to put them at ease and make them feel okay there?
I found something that I felt was complimentary, whether it was a pair of shoes they were wearing or cool new headphones, something to just point out and make a connection authentically and say,
Mm-hmm.
wow, those are really cool shoes. How do you like those Brooks? Yeah, they're great. I use these for running. Cool. Oh, so, and then just having that conversation, because again, I think having started my career with the intention of how do I help people feel comfortable and confident in this environment and I'm fairly shy person, to be honest. I would call myself extroverted introvert. I'm mostly introverted. And so the gym helped me connect with people. And did I fumble? Were there awkward moments, talking to people? Sure, of course. It's like anything else. And did I
Yeah.
get the cold shoulder, or were people just saying, okay, buddy, don't try to sell me anything, thinking that I was trying to get something out of them? All that took place, but it just never stopped me from, hey, I'm glad you're here. Like Sean Ferguson, I'm glad that you're just doing this for yourself, because I see the gift in that. I see that this is self-time that you're carving out in order to gain something out of this, whether it's just to release mentally or to just feel stronger or be in tune with your body and create some mobility and help your joints, whatever it is. That's amazing. And you
Mm-hmm.
should feel good about being here. So I kind of wanted to subconsciously give them that sense of, what they're doing for themselves is doing more good than any kind of harm or setback. Right. So
Yeah. Well, and I like that you say that, because it's interesting when people compliment you based off of what they've achieved. They're like, "Oh, Sean, you got me to have an 8-pack." Like, I would always say, "I didn't do it. It was you.
yeah,
You did
exactly.
all the work. You put in all the time and the energy. You were the one who paid for your time at the gym. You were the one who paid for the personal training sessions. I did nothing. I
Right.
guided you along something, but all I did is I revealed your ability
Yes.
to see your own power to achieve
Yeah.
that result. And because you've done that, now you feel better. Now you do work better. Now
Yeah.
you look better and you feel more confident. And it's like you've just unraveled that layer and shown them behind the curtain what value they have and how important and confident they can be. You've made them shine in the light. And I think that's
Mhm.
like something that I always took reward in, is that I just revealed something that was always under you that you didn't know about.
Yeah. My favorite actor, as you already know, Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
Me?
He once
Oh.
said in Tom Cruise. No, uh, he said in an interview, we all have the answers. We have them. If we really like push comes to shove, we know what to do, or we will tend to gravitate towards the thing that we feel, at least in the moment, is right, or will get us to that next step or help us in that situation.
Mhm.
For me, I did have kind of a fork in the road moment mentally, because I started thinking, is personal training the only thing I'm going to be doing the rest of my life? Right? Like, is there something more to this that I can enhance? And then it was like, well, there's transformation and lifestyle. And a lot of people think, well, isn't personal training transformation? Not really. Personal training for me was, let's hone in on the craft of movement. Let's help you
Mhm.
understand how to create mind to muscle connection, be more spatially aware, feel stronger, more capable in your body, and understanding yourself through balance and things like that. Where transformation is, now we're taking on lifestyle choices. And I thought, gosh, can I do this? Because up to that point, my empowerment, my desire to want to help people become empowered was through movement only. And
Mhm.
now I was looking at, can I actually be a guide to help people with this muscle here, so to speak, in between the
Right.
ears, and to get out of their own way, and whatever it is that they aspire to achieve, that there are things that are inhibiting that. So
Well, okay, so let's push the brakes for just a second,
sure.
because what you're doing is you're making a transformation, you're pivoting, and you're changing your career base. Okay, so
Mhm.
what you're talking about is you are the number one trainer at 24-hour fitness. Like, everybody wants to train with Sean. Everybody,
Mhm.
your books are filled. You have a portfolio. You've achieved all of these things.
Mhm.
You can charge X number of dollars because you're at the top rate of that trainer. But it's
Mhm.
like you're at this point where you're like, what else is there?
Yeah.
Right now you're impacting a single person every hour on the hour. Maybe you have a class and you can do a few more people, but it's like there's a point where you decide I can be more and I
Mm-hmm.
want to grow more. And that can be terrifying. Change can be terrifying. And so
Yeah.
you decided to dive all in because you were the top of the brand there. You were number one trainer. It's like, boom. Most people are afraid to step away
Mm-hmm.
from that
Yeah.
certainty, right? You have, as Seth Godin talks about it, it's like you have all the cows in the pasture, but it's like you want that purple cow. You want to keep going after that
Mm,
next one. Well, it's like, what was your purple cow? Like, that's terrifying to make that
right.
transition. And so you had everything going for you. You had
Yeah.
everything perfect. Most people would never want to leave that. What was going through your mind to make
Mm,
that change? Because that is a change. And you left certainty and stability and
yes.
money behind. Why did you want more? And how terrifying was that?
Oof. Terrifying uh, is an understatement. I think I had many nights that were sleepless, and we all have our inner critic, right? And
Mhm.
to varying degrees. And the voice, I guess I should say, that's in my head is very strong. It came from a very early age. This desire to prove myself. I didn't grow up without a father. I sought approval. It was like, what arenas can I have an outlet, and how can I get ahead and show myself and be validated, right? Kind of the hero's journey
Mhm.
in essence. And with that, there's still a sense of, am I good enough? And I had to really work on that internally, understanding how to build my own confidence, or at least build confidence through mentorship, books, podcasts, whatever, people I listen to on YouTube, a lot of motivational stuff. And the voice was loud and clear. This isn't your arena. You're good here. Like, you're an expert strength coach, strength and conditioning coach. You make people feel good. And I think, like, if looking back, and I don't think that voice ever really goes away in my journey. I think it's learning how to navigate with that
Mhm.
voice, and kind of honor that, okay, that's just a part of me. That's a survival mechanism that tried to protect me at a younger age. And now we don't need that. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm capable of, and what I can offer. So, in that moment of, gosh, okay, transformation seems pretty cool, but I don't have what it takes. Who am I? Right. And I think the universe, and I'll even say God, because I'm a believer in God, continually kept reminding me, hey, your story is inspiring for people. Even if it's not the exact same, they can relate to the fact that you went through adversity and can aspire to that. And you can share the ways in which you addressed very challenging circumstances in your life, especially the intangible stuff, like I talked about, like the lack of
Mhm.
confidence or esteem,
Mhm.
and how I had to kind of, rebuild that. Because I think a big part of just this idea of transformation, if we're talking about body recomposition, right? People are looking for increasing strength and muscle, maybe losing some weight, is the single biggest obstacle is the mind. And I love this quote from this guy. His name is Chris Newsham. And I'll never forget seeing this. This was in 2016. It said, the body's biggest obstacle is the mind. And that struck me in a way. And that actually was right at the time that we're talking here, with that pivot moment.
Mhm.
And I thought, gosh, it's interesting that this organic biological vessel that I'm walking around in is at the mercy of what my mind dictates or wants or desires. And I have to be very mindful of that. One of my counselors and mentors in my life, Derek, he always helped to remind me of that tool of mindfulness. It's not about, you know, making direct change in an instant. It's just saying, oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting, I had that thought. Interesting, I had that feeling. Let's discover more about that. Let's have the courage to go inward and understand, where's that coming from? Why is that limiting belief there? And so, slowly and surely, as I went independent, I started working with clients privately,
Mm-hmm.
I started having deeper conversations for something about that environment removed from the commercial space allowed
Deeper
me to
conversations with yourself or with the clients?
clients. Yeah,
Okay.
clients. So I wasn't sold on I'm going to be a transformation coach. I was mulling it over, and this took months, if not better part of a couple years. So this is like 2016 to 2018. And something about the space of working with a client privately at a private studio offered a little more emotional intimacy, obviously appropriately, right? Just like talking about life stuff, getting kind of deeper and realizing that the things that these clients were bringing up to me were things that I'd been through and things that I figured out how to work through. I don't want to just say overcome. I like
Mm-hmm.
to say work through nutrition, sleep, stress management, mental health, by and far the largest component for me towards transformation for lasting change. And as I would share that, I noticed the inspiration coming off that for others. And they're like, that thing you said the other day about nutrition and looking at it from a nutrient perspective and,
Mm-hmm.
a colorful plate versus like good food, bad food. I
Mm-hmm.
really took that to heart and I'm starting to practice that. And it's really made me feel better. And I was like, wow, okay, this is starting to work. All
Mm-hmm.
right, maybe I do have some things I can share here. So I
Well,
guess the
well, I want
answer,
to.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I want to stop you really quick, and that is that I think you're hitting on 2 points which are really important, which is the fact that we all communicate differently, right?
hmm,
Like the way that I say something is going to be the way that different as another personal trainer would say it to a specific client, right?
sure,
And it's not right or wrong; it's just
right,
the way that I communicate it to you.
yep,
But if as a good trainer, as a good coach, as a good mentor, as a good leader, as a good parent,
hmm,
the more ability I have of explaining something different ways, maybe that's what relates better to that person, right? Like,
yeah,
oh, that clicked with me. That resonated with me. That was
yeah,
relatable. That was a story that really hit home with me. And it's like, ooh, your ability to communicate differently and both forward and back is so important because there's no
yeah,
right way. There's no wrong
no,
way. There's no only one way. And I think a good leader, a good parent, a good teacher, a mentor is able to do that, right? And
yeah,
so you hit on that. And the other thing that I heard you say is that when you went off on your own, you were independent, you started to realize like you're you're not the only one who's ever gone through something, right? Like other people have experienced pain and suffering and challenges and struggles and
yeah,
heartache and entrepreneurial doors that are closed on your face, or the scare or the fear of going off on your own and being independent. Like I was I worked for a corporation and it was terrifying to go off on my own and start my
hmm,
own place. And it was like that jump was terrifying, but I wasn't the only person who's ever done it. And so
yeah,
connecting myself with people that have done it, I could learn from
yes,
them. And then
yes,
once I did it, I could relate that story back to other people and say, "Oh my gosh, like yeah, I was a personal trainer at a big corporate gym and I went off on my own." Well, that actually translates to different industries too. Like I work for a giant law firm, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to start my own law firm. Or
yeah,
I'm an actor that works with this guild or with this acting firm, but I go off and I start my own firm, my own business. It's like it is a hard transition, but you're not the only person. And
right,
when you realize that you're not the only person, we're so more connected to people, and you have the advice and you have the stories and experience and knowledge that you can share to other people. And people are like, oh, this person understands my pain because
yeah,
you've been there.
right. It's the relatability, and yeah, I think that just having the courage to say like I know what that's like, I've been there, and this is what I did is such a big piece. And there was something else you said, I kind of lost my train of thought, but oh, this is I think the thing that has really helped me in my personal life, relationships, entrepreneurship, um, and reminding myself that no journey is supposed to be easy. And I think I'll speak for myself. There's a lot of things that we see curated online, social media, even in commercials, where subconsciously it's like, oh, that should be like an easy process and I should just get results. And, you know, if I do just this one or two things, then here we go. And that the reality is there will be obstacles thrown at us and thrown at myself from every which way. And it's easy to, having come into the situation thinking, oh, this should be simple, to get thrown off and be like, oh, now I'm going to start questioning whether or not I should even do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most fascinating part of the my mind is, oh, I didn't realize I was carrying expectations into this situation. Even working towards my own personal fitness goals, I'm like, I'm going to go run a marathon. So I'm just going to start training. When I first started running during the pandemic, I had 6-7 injuries. I was out for weeks. I was wearing the wrong shoes. I was wearing basketball shorts. I was like, you know, I was just all over the place. And then I was like, cool. I don't know about this running thing, you know? And what did you say? Sorry.
I said, you look cool.
Yeah. and
I don't think anyone has ever complimented me on my Hokas, by the way. So if I ever went into a gym and somebody complimented my Hokas, I'd be like, what is this transaction going on?
Right.
Did you learn from Sean to compliment my shoes?
That's right. What's this hidden agenda? Yeah. What do you want? Yeah. And then it's just a constant reminder in life that if I can anticipate that there are going to be challenges and to welcome that, to embrace that, and to actually be grateful for that, because as corny as this is to say, growth is in the challenge. Growth, for me, there's been no way I would have become who I am or have been able to do what I've done without huge obstacles or small obstacles. So giving yourself that opportunity to work through each and every single challenge as they come, knowing that that's not always going to be the case 24/7, but that having that as part of your journey is normal, right?
Yeah, and you talk about it's like Matthew McConaughey's book, The Green Lights, right? Like sometimes your life is green light after green light after green light. It's like life is amazing, and then all of a sudden your water heater goes out, and you're like, oh my god, like, well, how am I going to pay for this? And then your tire goes out, and then all of a sudden it's like you have a breakup, and then it's just like, oh, the one thing after another. Life is not going to be green lights.
Right.
You are going to have red lights. Sometimes you're going to get lucky and your whole journey is going to be green lights on that day. But then every once in a while you'll hit a yellow, you'll get pulled over on that light. Right. And it's like, you are going to, and just knowing that in advance and anticipating that. I love that you said that. It's about the anticipation that life is going to throw you struggles and challenges. Just know that that's what makes you stronger. That's what, and you and I bet you can relate to this. It's about going into the gym and going to failure. And it's like, we go in to destroy ourselves. And I just had Tangi Johnson on podcast, and she hasn't, her episode hasn't dropped, but she talks about going to failure, and it's your failures that make you stronger and put that muscle mass on. It's like one of the only things you do in life at the gym is you go in to beat yourself up, intend to fail. And whether you're starting a business or you're trying to move up the corporate ladder or you're trying to create new friendships or anything like that, you're starting a new business online or getting a speaking business, you're going to get hit with these challenges and these roadblocks. And it's like, just anticipate them. And I think that that's so important, because that removal of that expectation, like, oh, my life is going to be full of green light. No, it's not.
Right.
It is not.
Right. And, you know, I have developed a really good being in running shape. And there are still days where it feels harder than others. And I smile at that now, because it's like, my physiology isn't going to be perfect on this Tuesday. And I'm going to go out for a run and I'm going to feel it in my knees or low back a little bit. And I just got to slow it down a little bit, let my body get acclimated. And so fitness, and if we're using the term gym, for lack of a better term, has been the single biggest application of my efforts towards building myself internally as well as externally. I mean, sure, in my 20s, let's become a bodybuilder. Let's see what that's like. And I stepped on stage 3 different times. I went from dead last to first place at a smaller show, but I won first place. And then I realized that bodybuilding I wasn't passionate about that. It wasn't something I wanted to focus solely on with fitness. So I moved on to other things. But every time I have to dig into my entrepreneurship, even to this day, okay, I've got to carve out time. I've got to sit at the computer. I've got to do X, Y, Z. it takes everything in me to not want to distract myself or whatever. And so I'm very admiring of business entrepreneurs, because that is a muscle I'm still trying to get stronger. I'm still trying
Mhm.
to develop, and I call on internally the all the things that I've gone through in the gym in the years, of developing, I guess, a discipline, and utilizing that for my own inspiration. Going, man, think of the things you've done and how persistent you've been, and for how a lot of people that's really challenging, and yet you've kept at it and you found some love in that arena. Let's leverage that for something like business, and honor the fact that you're still very much, as we talked about in the beginning, a student. You're trying to
Mhm.
learn, so give yourself a little break. And I think that's what I like to offer to my clients who are beginners, who may not see results quick enough, or who are just feeling, gosh, this is really hard. And it's like, yeah, that, if I sit down to a piano, I shouldn't expect to be Mozart after 3 sessions, right? It's going to take time. So
Yeah.
if I were to like walk off and be like, forget the piano, then I'm selling myself short in what I'm capable of. And so I try to remind people of the macro lens here. Like, this takes time.
Well, you hit on that. It's like and Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hours required to become an expert at something. And it's like
Mhm.
and you had mentioned this earlier. It's like everybody sees online somebody's achievements and they're like, oh,
Mhm.
well, it was easy for them. But you don't
Right.
know the path that they took. They don't know what suffering and what challenges and what struggles they had, what red lights they hit along the way. You just don't know,
Right.
but you see only their achievements. And Arnold would talk about that all the time too. It's like he was at the gym way longer than other people, and he would hit it harder. And the intent and purpose behind what he was doing was not only mind and body coordination of like that connection, but it was like he just stayed consistent over time, and then he got to it. But if you see him, you're like, oh well, he was the number one, he was gifted, and no, he worked the whole
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
that translates into every industry. And what I'm hearing you say is that the gym basically set you up for success to
Yeah.
learn to enjoy the suck, really.
Yeah.
Like it
Absolutely.
taught you the foundation to stay disciplined and consistent over something, but it also taught you something special that I just heard you say, which was that you set a priority, which was to become a bodybuilder. And
Hmm.
you dabbled with it and you challenged yourself and you did it and you achieved a certain success that you felt was enough. You didn't throw in the towel along the way because you could have. You're like, well,
Oh, and I
I'm
wanted
always
to.
last, these
Yeah.
person are bigger than me, or they're using steroids, so it's not fair, or whatever. And it's
Yep.
like, okay, I can get this, but and you didn't quit. But then once you got to a certain level, you were like, this isn't what I'm as passionate about.
Hmm.
But you were able to pivot from that point. It set
Yeah.
you up for success. It's like you might be successful at something, and as long as you don't quit, as long as you achieve what you wanted to achieve, then you're set. So for example, with modeling and acting, I always wanted to be on the box of an underwear box for thing. Well, I did that. I always wanted to
Mhm.
be on the cover of a magazine. Well, I did that. Well, I always wanted to be in a Hollywood movie. Well, I did that. So it's like these little steps, these goals that I achieved,
Yeah.
do they continue to give me that passion and that well, if they do, then I keep going. Like, how do I
Yeah.
land another SAG commercial? How do I
Right.
land a campaign? Like, but once you've achieved it, then you can kind of sit back and say, do I want to continue? How do I
Right.
10 times this? Or am
Yeah.
I okay and I want to change directions? And that's like in life, a lot of people, if they give up because it doesn't go the way that they expect it, and then
Yeah.
they're like, well, I'm just done. Well,
Right.
put some time and effort into it. And once you achieve the goal that you think that you wanted to achieve, then evaluate. Do I
Yeah.
want to write a second book? Do I want to write a third book, or do I want to be done with book writing and now I want to be a
Mhm.
coach to people and help them write books, right?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
just gives you this skill set where you're like, you can evaluate and have choices and options. And the
Yeah.
only reason you can do that is because you stayed consistent, you hit the goal that you wanted to achieve, and then you can look back and say, I
Yeah.
can reflect and say, I want more or I want to change.
Yeah. It's almost like, for me and my story is, anytime I've tried to resist an idea of, or a journey that I would maybe have no experience in, and try to talk myself out of, it's reminding myself that, like, why not give myself permission to experience this without a sense of I need to be perfect at it or I need to have an amazing outcome. Because the first bodybuilding show I did, dead last. There was 19 competitors, and I was the little guy on the right with way too much tanner, looking awkward, and like,
Look like a lizard.
yeah. And I was defeated. I was
Mm-hmm.
defeated, and I was really bummed out. I took it personal,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "This is about I didn't do things this and this right," and so there was a little bit of that drove. Okay, I'm going to do this again. But it was also, wait a second, I don't have to just assume that I don't belong here. Let me try this again. Let me communicate this better with my coach of what I went through because I didn't do that very well. So I always try to pull out, like we talked about earlier, the positive parts. And then sure enough, next show I got first place. And it was like, okay, that's the takeaway. That was it. It was, you got dead last. You don't belong here. And yet I got up and I did it again. That is the biggest part of my bodybuilding journey. I am so grateful for that because when I tell you, Blue, that I was defeated, I was defeated. I felt like my whole world was crashing down. And this is bodybuilding, right? It doesn't define who I am. It's not my life. It was just something that I needed to do at the time post divorce. And it was a challenging time in my life. I was rediscovering who I am. And then having gone into last place, it was like, I had every reason to be like, screw this. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a second, what if I stick with this? What'll happen? Right. And I gave myself permission to see that. So yeah, are there times in our lives where you just know deep down that like, hey, this isn't maybe not the right time. Sure, and we can trust our gut on that. But something deeper was speaking to me, and so I'm very grateful for that very short bodybuilding journey, and how it's helped me in so many other areas in life.
Well, and so you took a chance and you even got into it because a lot of people would never do it. Like, well, I'm never getting on stage in a banana hammock and dressing up like a lizard, right? Like, I'm just not going to tan like that, right? So you did that.
Yeah.
B, what you did is you did get last,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people would quit at last. And
Mm-hmm.
then what you said is you took the positives from it, but you also took the negative, like
Yeah.
that feeling, and you used that as your inspiration, your fuel to do better the next time.
100%.
And you took the feedback and you changed it. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
what could I do better?
That's
And
right.
because if I don't get better, I'm going to be 19th again. But you took it and you were like, what
Yes.
could I do better? Could I put less tanner on? Could I communicate with my coach better? Could I train harder? Maybe. But you
Mm-hmm.
got rid of the things that weren't in your control, and
Right.
you took the feedback that you could control and you
Yes.
bettered yourself. You improved. So you
Yes.
improved your communication, you improved your stance and your positioning, and maybe you changed the color of your banana hammock. And
It did. It was red to
whatever.
blue, and that's what did it. Yeah.
I would never do that. So just as a heads up, you already have me above that.
Yeah.
But you took that feedback and you grew, and then you did achieve it. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you did and you got first, you're like, okay, this isn't my cup of tea, but what did I learn from it to
Mm-hmm.
start my own business, to be
Yes.
able to relate that to clients and say, I've been a bodybuilder. I've gone through starvation. I have gone through 4 hours of cardio every day.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken every diet pill and I've caffeinated myself with this and had pancakes the day before. It's like, you
Yeah.
have this experience now that just makes you that more valuable skill set wise to be a coach or a mentor. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming you've applied that to get to where you are now, where you are working with more people and you are doing virtual training and you've created informed movement fitness. And it's like, tell us about this transition to where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, now that we're talking about it, I didn't really realize how much of a jumping off point the bodybuilding situation was. In 2013, that's when I went independent, started working with clients privately, and then started realizing, okay, I want to create more for my business and for people that I work with, other than just, the time spent in the gym, which is obviously amazing.
Mhm.
And I slowly and surely started acquiring certifications and schooling on behavior change, habit, lifestyle, right? I have been through an extensive mental health journey. I worked with a counselor in Seattle who just is, I can't praise enough, Derek, at Mindful Therapy Group. And he really helped me get more grounded in who I am as a person and as a human, and how I can infuse that into my business. And at the time, I actually joined a men's group, and that really helped with areas in my personal life. And I was surrounded by men who were going through, their own journeys, and we were there to support each other. And in that, I started realizing, okay, I'm starting to really see and feel a calling for working with men, because especially with my story and how isolation, even solidarity, staying inward and not, suppressing a lot of emotions and feelings, and just, the rugged individualism. Even though I didn't have a father around, that was kind of like my thing was, how do I just survive? How do I, fight and get everything that I need, just based on my own independence. And that was really inspiring for me to start to create a business that utilized my expertise and my health and fitness background to working with men. Primarily, I still work with some women as well, but so I have a program now called the Betterment Method. And that is where men are taking a good hard look at their own health and fitness after 35 and deciding, like, how do I balance this in with all my other priorities? And having a group of like-minded men to use as support and accountability. And we go through like a transformation program. So that's been kind of the trajectory, is like commercial gyms and then working privately, and then deciding, okay, transformation is what I want. And I love working with men. So that's been the steady incline. Yeah.
Well, I think that's so important that you mentioned that, Sean, because it's like you're surrounding yourself around people that can support you and show you your value and
Yeah.
show you like what your skill set are. And you can realize that you can make a bigger impact with other people, and it doesn't just have to be within the gym industry. And so
Right.
it's like you started to gain this value and this confidence by just joining a group. And it doesn't have to be a men's group. It could be anything that you could join in, but it's like putting yourself in this group of people that, and I call it a confidence team, surrounding yourself around people that are supporting you and believe in you and make you feel heard, seen, and valued, like you belong to something.
Yeah.
And you start to find like your value. And you obviously did that. And you were successful at it as a personal trainer, as a strength coach, as an actor, and as a model, and as a bodybuilder. But then you wanted more. And you were able to do this. Like when you met a new client, like what would you tell people now who are in their 30s? Like what would you tell them, both mentally and physically? Because it's not just physical. You just got to go do cardio 100 million times. What do you tell clients now? What is the secret to success of looking the way that you do after your mid 30s? Like what is it that you tell people to look the way that you do and be able to run a marathon and be able to do these things? What mentally and physical secret do you have that you tell your clients?
The less that you attach fitness and even nutrition and sleep habits to just specific goals, and look at it from a bigger picture of mental health, of increasing connection with family, with friends, creating experiences for yourself recreationally, as you mentioned, in groups, and having physical capability in this world, I think is one of the biggest blessings that you can have, that we all have, the ability to move well without pain and to take care of ourselves so that we can show up better. The more you can do that and embrace, I think, what that means for you specifically, the less pressure you put on yourself for having to reach a certain look or be at a certain weight. Those to me are natural byproducts of the efforts that you put in persistently over time. And when I say effort, this isn't 2-a-days every single day. It's not a 6-day gym grind. It's not eating like a rabbit. Okay. It's just making small positive changes in areas that help your wellness, trusting that those are the things that will actually help you get to your goal. Because when you fixate on, I want to drop 50 pounds. Okay. It's a yes and for me as a coach. Great. Let's go for that. But what it takes to get there is the most important part of this whole thing. And that's the point. The point is to drive home habits and lifestyle changes and give you an opportunity to experience things physically in this world and from a health standpoint, where those other things, you trust me when I tell you, will pale in comparison once you experience and feel that. I always joke with like the example of Captain America. You know, they put him in that chamber and they hit a button and then he comes out and he's yoked. And it's like, okay, sure. Would we all like to experience some version of that in our own mind of what that would be like? Yeah. But the point is like, you don't understand to the fullest what having a body that's and health metrics and health markers are until you get there. And you have to trust that that's what we want to experience. We want the energy. We want to feel like we can always say yes to whatever activity our family or our friends invite us to go do. So what are the things between that vacation or that destination are the things that we need to just look at and say, all right, cool. So you have a busy schedule or it's inconsistent or your motivation is low. We can work with that. No problem. Let's give it some time. Okay. And yeah, setting goals is super important. It gives us that, we like deadlines or we like that carrot in front of us to drive us. And that's fine. I still do that. I have high rocks events, marathons. I love having that because it keeps things fun and interesting. But I know that high rocks and marathons do not define me. And neither does weightlifting. It's the fact that I went to Yosemite a couple weekends ago and got to just practically not jog up the mountain by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't need to stop. And I was like, this is a testament to the work I'm putting in because this is what's important. I can take a view or a screenshot from an elevation that's super high that a lot of people can't experience. And I don't want that for myself. And I want my clients to experience life to the fullest. So.
Well, I think that is so important for people to hear because it's the journey that makes it so fun, right? It's like all the time and the effort that you put into it that make you that much more appreciative of what you have. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned 2-a-days. And it's like, when I was a bachelor, I could do 2-a-days. I could do 3-a-days. Like I could starve myself and I could have my abs at this, but it was like, that was just setting me up for the foundation of understanding what works for my body, what doesn't work for my body, and to have a mental happiness and a mental grit and or goal set. So it's like, it just gave me this foundation that I realized that when I'm with my kids, I can still run with them. I can jump up on the jungle gyms and play with them and play tag and baseball with them. And how blessed I am that I can still do that at 48 years old. But it's because of the time and effort that I put in at the beginning. And so a lot of kids, and I'm sure you experience it, I say kids, but it's a lot of people look for that shortcut. They want that Captain America tomorrow. So they're dealing with steroids or human growth hormone or with testosterone or with peptides or anything that's going to give them that upper chance of getting to that goal way faster. And if that's what they want to do, that's fine, but they don't have that mature muscle. They don't have the experience that taught them the lessons to get there. Do they look great? Yes, but that's like winning the lottery. You don't have the foundation of what it's like to earn money and how to spend it and what your habits are of spending money or living outside your means. So that's why a lot of the people who win the lottery lose it right away, right? And it's like you have to put that time in and that effort and energy to understand the basic fundamentals of doing so. Everybody wants to be a black belt, but you don't get a black belt right away. It takes years and years and years to do it. It takes lots of testing and failures along the way. And it's so you hit on that. And I love that. I also love that you mentioned that for me to be able to still take my shirt off in the summer and be my age is only because of the time and effort that I put in the beginning. My ability to play tag with my kids is only because I stay flexible and I try to stretch, and it sucks. Like I'd much rather watch Netflix rather than stretch, but why not watch Netflix and do the splits? Why not watch my kids play and get them outside time rather than them playing the Switch game, for example. But why not join them? Why
Yeah.
not walk a marathon with your kids? Why not introduce them to an entrepreneurial thing, like bring them into work, show them,
Yeah.
like showing more of these things and being more active. It doesn't have to be 2 hours in the gym. It can be 30 minutes walking from your car every day, or it's like
Yes.
finding these little pieces of a lifestyle change that are just active,
Yeah.
but you're happy and enjoying it. And it's that happiness journey along the way that I think that has given me the success that I have, because I enjoy that
Yeah.
much more than just cardio time or just
Yeah.
lifting biceps for an hour. It's like who are you meeting at the gym? What is having a more flexible arm well, now I can work better. I can lift things
Mhm.
above my head.
Mhm.
It doesn't hurt for me getting out of the car. I don't have to go to physical therapy all the time. I look back, this is an interesting thing. My dad at my age, I always wonder what he would be like because he's no longer here. And I'm like, I wonder if he went to a midnight showing of Star Wars. No. I wonder if he played with me, with his kids when he was this age. No, he didn't. And why? It's because he maybe didn't believe that, or he didn't want to, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But I want to, and I'm blessed that I still can.
Yes. It's so funny that you said that, because the next thing I was going to mention was the 35, 40-year-old of today. We are in a situation that is nowhere near like it was in the 80s, the 70s, where we're afforded this opportunity to take the fitness element of our lives and apply it to the things that matter, just like you mentioned. So that's a very common thing that I hear from a lot of men who I consult with, or I'm like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to get into a weight loss program or start to get back into the gym or start working out at home? And it's number one is play with kids. And
Mm,
I think you're right. I think, and I didn't have a father around. I know he was pretty physically active growing up, but I think a lot of us kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s can say, gosh, thinking back, I don't remember my parents playing with me too much, right? Like they were on the sidelines watching our games,
mm,
but they weren't active with us on the weekends. Now I see couples with the run strollers, or,
mm,
taking the kids to the park and playing with them. And I think that
mhm.
that's just beautiful. So it's
Well, and
finding that thing. Yeah.
that's taking fitness and making it a lifestyle, right? And
Exactly.
having it fun, and then sharing that with your kids. And then their kids learn from you, and they
Yes.
look at you as a mentor, and they're like, oh, okay, well, if my parents are in the gym still, then I can, or I want to
Yes.
be lifting at the same time. And my mentor was a 60-year-old martial arts ninja who could kick you and punch you, but he would lift and bench press 405. And I'm like, he's 60 years old and he's doing 100 nonstop push-ups like it's like nothing. I'm like, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And I want Heidi and I want our kids to look at us and say, if our parents are in their 30s and 40s, like, why can't I do that at that age? So
Mm,
why not? And so
right.
it's a lifestyle, and how we eat is important for them to see that you don't need to only have chicken nuggets every night. You can have chicken and vegetables.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm very blessed to be engaged to an amazing fiance who's beautiful inside and out. And she already brings her own sense of fitness and what her forms of fitness. She's an open water swimmer. She's a, lifelong dancer, in ballet and hip hop and all these things. And then, she's has her own fitness routine. And I've dated in the past, obviously, and there's been partners where we didn't share in that, and that's totally fine. And I never made that like, oh, you have to be super fit or whatever in order to connect. But I realized there's so much that we get to explore together in this relationship. And she just finished her first marathon recently, and she's been inspired by my run journey. And I'm going to get back in the pool here pretty soon, which, I swim like Rocky. I'm just like I just drop to the bottom quick. So she's got a lot to teach me, but it gives us that in the same sense that you're talking about with your family and Heidi and the kids. It's, Katie and I get to connect, and go.
Something in common, right?
Yeah,
And Heidi
exactly.
loves to run, and bless her, she loves to run. But I will walk with her at a
There you go.
fast pace,
Jump
right?
on the
Like,
bike,
I
maybe
want
ride
to
next to her.
enjoy something with her
Yep.
outside, and
Mhm.
I'm not gonna run, but I will walk with her, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, or I'll do a 5K with her. She can run
Mhm.
ahead, but I'll
Mhm.
be behind.
Yeah.
But I want her to know that I support her and I'm into
Yeah.
what she does. But if she does a CrossFit workout and she does CrossFit all the time, like I'll join her every once in a while. But she
Sure.
does the same with me. Like she
Yeah.
respects me, and she's like, all right, get the 3-pound dumbbells out and beat me up. Like
Yeah.
what are we gonna do? What secondary muscle are we gonna train versus a primary? Like I want to do some compound movement. It's like it, but she knows that she can learn from me and she can have fun with, and I can make it enjoyable. And the kids are the same. Like, okay, we're not gonna do a huge workout in here, but you know what? Let's see how many push-ups we can do and how many sit-ups we can
Yeah.
do in our hokas
Yeah.
and in our short shorts and not have our butt cheeks dangling
Right.
out. Well, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
You have been transformative with me because you've been a friend to me, and you and you're someone that I can call, Sean, and I can brainstorm with, and I can pitch ideas to you. Like when I wrote the Sum of Four, I was like, I wanted to pitch ideas with you. I'm like, Sean, what do you think about this? And it's like, you're just someone that has been a part of my confidence team. And I know that you do that with other people now, and you do that
And
for a
you.
living. And it's like,
Mm.
where can people find you and more about your business that you're doing and connect with you?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's informedmovement.com, and it breaks down my services and what I offer in that. And then my Instagram is what I'm most commonly on, which is I am Sean Ferguson. Yeah. So I have services for transformation, health and lifestyle. And then I also am a High Rocks coach. So people who are interested in High Rocks can look me up and ask questions and consult with me there as well. So,
Which is,
yeah.
I'm assuming, is going to be the new CrossFit, right? Like that's where it's kind of going. And so
Yeah.
to get in now is so important. And I think that's the new and greatest thing. And I know that you're very giving with your time. And if people have questions, I know that you
Yeah.
respond to them. And so
Absolutely.
if anybody is interested in learning more about that or learning more about you, I would absolutely say that they should connect with you, because as not only a person and a friend in my life, but you're someone that I can learn from and I have learned from. And so reach out to you and definitely make a difference in their own lives, but knowing that it's an authentic self from you giving to them, and knowing that you're doing this to make it a better world. And you are making a difference in this world, Sean, and you've made a difference in my life. And for that, I am forever grateful, and I love you. And thank you for being in my life.
I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be here, and you're one of the most admired humans in my life. And I'm just very grateful that we have our connection and that we can help one another out on our journeys.
Well, I'm going to set an audacious goal for this, and you and I are going to be in a movie together, or we're going to be on a shoot together.
Let's
And
go.
you are not getting me to do a marathon, okay? Even if I had Hokas on,
We
but
can
maybe
edit
Heidi
that
would run
in.
down and do one with you someday.
That'd
So
be great.
I would love to get a workout with you down in LA, and you're always welcome at home here in Spokane area. And I love you, and I'm wishing you the best. And I cannot wait to see what you come up with and the direction that you go, because you're always growing and you're staying curious, brother. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, my brother. Really appreciate it.
All right, Sean, have a great one.
You too.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for listening to Navigating No. If this episode brings you value, or you know someone who could benefit from it, the best way to support the show is by sharing and subscribing. It's completely free and helps us reach more people. And if you have any questions, feedback, or guests you'd like me to interview, drop a comment while you're there. I'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in. And let's continue sharing optimism and positivity.